You light up without thinking. A flame, a breath, a cloud of smoke. It feels modern. It feels like a habit born in the last century. But the real answer is far stranger than you think. Humans have been inhaling smoke for at least 500,000 years. Not cigarettes, not pipes. Something far more primal. Something your ancestors did around a fire long before language, long before cities, long before anyone had a word for addiction. It starts with fire itself. Around 400,000 to 500,000 years ago, early humans, possibly Homo erectus, learned to control fire. Researcher Dennis Sangate spent years studying ancient hearths in Europe and concluded that consistent fire use was one of the most transformative moments in human prehistory. Where there is fire, there is smoke. And where there is smoke, early humans sat directly inside it every night. Your ancestors did not have chimneys. They did not have ventilation. They huddled in caves and shallow shelters with fire burning at the center. The smoke went nowhere except into their lungs. This was not a choice. It was survival. Fire meant warmth. Fire meant cooked food. Fire meant protection from predators. So your ancestors breathed the smoke because the alternative was freezing or being eaten. But something else was happening inside that smoke. Many of the plants early humans burned were not just wood. Archaeobotanist Mareka van der Veen has documented evidence that ancient peoples across multiple continents burned psychoactive plants deliberately. Certain varieties of wild tobacco, cannabis relatives, and other alkaloid-rich plants were present in regions where early humans lived. When those plants burned, the compounds went airborne. Your ancestor sitting beside that fire was inhaling something that altered their mind, whether they understood it or not. This is where it gets strange. The human brain has receptors specifically shaped to receive these compounds. Nicotinic acetylcholine receptors exist in your brain right now. They did not evolve because of cigarettes. They evolved long before tobacco was ever farmed. Some researchers believe these receptors were shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of low-level smoke exposure. Your brain was built, in part, around smoke. By 10,000 years ago, as agriculture began, humans started cultivating specific plants for their smoke. Tobacco was domesticated in the Americas around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. Ancient Peruvian sites have revealed tobacco residue in shaman pouches dating back 3,000 years. Researcher Juan Pablo Ugalde found nicotine and other alkaloids in the hair of ancient mummies from the Atacama Desert, people who lived centuries before European contact. They were not occasional smokers. The chemical evidence suggests regular, deliberate use. In the ancient world, smoke was sacred before it was social. Egyptian priests burned kifi, a blend of resins, herbs, and aromatic plants, in temple rituals. The smoke was believed to carry prayers to the gods. In ancient Greece, the oracle at Delphi sat above a crack in the earth that released natural gases and possibly burned laurel leaves, inhaling fumes that ancient sources describe as producing a trance state. Smoke and the divine were inseparable for most of recorded history. Your ancestors were not being irrational. Smoke does something real to the human brain. Nicotine increases dopamine. It sharpens focus. It reduces anxiety in the short term. In a world of constant threat, predators, starvation, conflict, a plant that briefly made your mind feel calm and clear was not a vice. It was a tool, a technology, something that worked. The tobacco pipe appears in North American archaeological sites dating back over 3,000 years. These were not simple objects. Some were carved with extraordinary detail. Animals, figures, symbols. They were ceremonial objects. Smoking was a ritual of alliance, of peace, of communication with the spirit world. When two groups met after conflict, they smoked together. The shared act of inhaling and exhaling smoke was a declaration. We are breathing the same air. We are no longer enemies. Smoke crossed the Atlantic after 1492. Within decades, tobacco spread across Europe, Africa, and Asia with a speed that no other plant product had ever achieved. By the 1600s, it was being smoked in Japan, in Persia, in West Africa. Historian Jordan Goodman documented how tobacco became one of the first truly global commodities, traded faster than almost any other substance in history. Your brain's ancient receptors, shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of fire and smoke, recognize something familiar the first time tobacco arrived in a new land. Adoption was almost instant everywhere it appeared. Today, you live in a world that has spent decades trying to stop people from smoking, and still, more than 1 billion people do it. That number is not just about addiction in the chemical sense. It is about something older. The act of sitting, breathing slowly, exhaling. It mirrors what your ancestors did every single night around a fire for 500,000 years. The pause, the breath, the small ritual in the middle of an overwhelming world. You light up without thinking, but somewhere underneath that habit is something ancient. A fire in a cave, a shaman inhaling sacred smoke, two strangers breathing the same air and choosing not to fight. The smoke never really left. It just changed its shape.